Everybody. Thanks for coming today. Our STEM program is with sound. For those of you that joined us last week, you'll know that I brought a tale with Cinderella. It's called What's That Sound, Cinderella? And it is a fairy tale of physics with sound. So let's go ahead, jump into the book, and see what awesome experiment I have for you today. Some time ago in a faraway land lived a girl named Cinderella. Sadly, her mom died, and her dad married a lady that was, well, not so nice. Even worse, the lady had two terrible daughters, and they were super bossy. Day and night, all Cinderella heard was the sound of her stepsisters yelling, "Cinderella, sweep the floors! Cinderella, clean the cat box! Cinderella, unclog the toilet!" "Please call me Cindy," Cinderella begged. "No way," her sisters said. Those are her stepsisters. And this is Cinderella. Every day, Cindy listened to her stepsisters bark orders at her. She heard them sing their awful songs. "Oh, Broomy," Cinderella said to her broom, "I can hear my stepsisters' voices upstairs through the floor. The sound waves are making the kitchen ceiling vibrate." Broomy, of course, said nothing. As Cindy mopped the bathroom, she heard her stepsister's loud dance music. Boom, boom, boom! The water in her bucket vibrated with every drumbeat. "Goodness, I can even see how loud the music is," Cindy said. "They must be very noisy." In need of fresh air, Cindy went outside. Soon she heard a vehicle approach. It was a party van, blasting its horn. The horn sounded faster and faster as the van got closer to the mansion. Cindy watched the driver park the van and run to the front door. He rang the bell. Ding dong! And the sound of chimes bounced through the halls, creating an echo. Cindy's stepsisters flung open the door. "Special delivery," the driver said. "The prince has invited you all to a ball tonight. There will be dancing, food, and good times. Please wear your finest clothes." After his delivery, the driver hopped back in the van and drove away. The blasting horn sounded slower and slower as the van got further and further away from the mansion. Interesting. Cindy ran inside. Her stepsisters were so excited to go to the ball. And of course, she was too. "No, Cinderella," stepsister one said, "you're not going." "No one wants to see you there," stepsister two said. "You look like you crawled out of a dumpster." That didn't make Cinderella feel very good, did it? They really were mean. The sisters hurried upstairs and demanded that Cindy help them get ready. And she did. She curled their hair, she zipped and buttoned their dresses, and the stepsisters just talked and laughed and laughed and talked. Such noise, Cindy thought. If only someone could hook up their big mouths to a generator, the energy from their nonstop talk could power a small city. I know a few people like that myself. If they ever invent one of those, we will definitely be able to have a lot of power to the city. Soon the stepsisters left the party. Cindy stayed to clean up the mess that they had left behind. "I'm sick of being treated like dirt, Broomy," Cindy said, looking at her broom again. "Then let's get you to the ball," a woman's voice said. "Broomy?" Cindy said. "You can talk?" "No, dear," a woman in the doorway said. "Brooms can't talk." Her musical voice made the mirrors vibrate. Her clothes sparkled, and so did her teeth. "Who are you?" Cindy asked. "Well, I'm your fairy godmother," she replied. "So do you want to go to the dance or not?" "Yes, please," Cindy said. "Good. Then I'll need some things, dear. A few mice, a pumpkin, and a dog. And meet me out front." Cindy did her best to find what her fairy godmother had wanted. She came back with 3 cockroaches, a pineapple, and Broomy. This was all I could find, Cindy said. Close enough, Godmother said, and with a wave of her wand, the 3 cockroaches became a team of bodyguards. The pineapple turned into a monster truck, and Broomy became the driver. Can you guys see that? Whoa, cool, Cindy shouted. But won't I need a dress? I mean, I can't wear these rags to the ball. Done, Godmother said, and poof. Cindy found herself in a beautiful dress and a pair of glass high-top sneakers. Well, these are kind of weird, Cindy said, pointing to her shoes. I'll show you again. They are a little different, but this day, I think they'd work great. Would you like a pair of glass high-top sneakers? You're all set, Godmother said, but know this, my magic won't last forever. The giant clock chimes at midnight. Once the 12th bell sounds, everything returns to its original form. But how will I hear the clock? Cindy asked. I'll be inside at the ball. Godmother touched Cindy's cheek. My dear, sound waves can travel. They can travel through all sorts of materials, she said. They can move through the air and water and even walls. They might sound quieter or louder going through different materials. You know that already, though. How many times have you heard your stepsisters yelling and singing when they were in another room? More times than I can count, Cindy said. Right, Godmother said. So sound waves vibrate the molecules in matter. Hey, we talked about that last time. The vibration is what you hear with your ear. I could talk about the physics of sound all day, but you have to get to the ball. Now go. This is another cool picture of their monster truck. What a neat vehicle to show up in. Cindy hopped into the truck and was off. The truck growled like a T-Rex. Well, this truck is really loud, Cindy shouted, covering her ears. It sure is, Broomy said. Did you know that sound is measured in decibels? The higher the decibel number, the louder the sound is. I learned that from your fairy godmother. How many decibels do you think this truck makes? Cindy asked. About 100 or so, Broomy said. Levels this high are really not good for your hearing. What? Cindy shouted. Broomy smiled. Exactly my point. Cindy had a blast at the ball. She met important people and ate fancy food. Everyone thought she was an amazing dancer, and she even told the best jokes, too. Who is that? Stepsister 1 asked, pointing at Cindy. I have no idea, stepsister number 2 said. Cindy smiled. Even her stepsisters didn't recognize her. The prince asked her to dance. The prince said, You are a great dancer. Hey, thanks, Cindy said. You're pretty good, too. The two danced and danced until gong! The giant clock started to chime midnight. Sound waves traveled from the clock tower across the street and through the castle walls. Cindy's outer ear caught the sound. Her eardrum vibrated. The vibrations then moved to the 3 tiny bones which pushed the sound to her inner ear. There, the vibrations entered a small curled tube and turned into electrical signals. Almost instantly, the signals zoomed to Cindy's brain and told her what she just heard. What did she hear? That's right, the bell, cried Cindy. I hear the bell. It's time to go. Now this is how your ear works. And that is how we figure out that we're hearing something. Gong, gong, gong. The prince watched as Cindy quickly grabbed her things. Where are you going? The prince asked. I have to get home, Cindy cried. It's late. The stepsisters couldn't believe anyone would leave the prince alone on the dance floor. Who was that mystery girl with the amazing dance moves and sharp fashion sense? Well, boy, they're being really nice to her now. Wait, I don't even know your name, the prince shouted. There's no time, Cindy said. Everyone in the ballroom watched as Cindy ran out of the door. Gong, dong. She hopped in the monster truck and it roared down the street. All that was left behind was one glass high-top sneaker. As the bells continued to ring. 12 dings later, Cindy ran out of time. The monster truck turned back into a pineapple, her driver became a broom again, and the bodyguards were cockroaches once more. Even Cindy's beautiful clothes were turned back into rags. When she finally got home, her rotten stepsisters were already there. You missed a great time, Cinderella, stepsister 1 said, flipping her hair. Such a great time, stepsister 2 said, but I bet you had more fun playing with your pineapple and your broom. Well, I did have fun, Cindy said to herself. The next morning, everyone on the news was talking about the ball and the mystery woman. She was the coolest, stepsister 1 said, her eyes glued to the TV. Oh, and those dance moves, stepsister 2 said. Cindy smiled to herself, and she watched as a camera crew followed the prince to different homes in town. He carried a glass high-top sneaker in his hand. My shoe, Cindy said, too quietly for her stepsisters to hear. He's having every girl in town try on that shoe. Stepsister 1 said, if it fits, she must be it. So, of course, the stepsisters were excited. A short time later, knock, 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 it was the prince, followed by the news crew. Good afternoon, ladies, the prince said. I'm looking for the woman of my dreams. The stepsisters squealed and grabbed the shoe from the prince's hand. Each of them tried to put it on, but it was much too small. Kindly, Cindy quietly dusted the piano. By accident, she bumped one of the piano keys. The musical notes echoed through the mansion. What about you? The prince asked, pointing at Cindy. At first, the stepsisters laughed. Then they screamed, because Cindy easily slipped into the high-top sneaker, and it fit perfectly. And just like that, Cindy magically turned back into the girl from the ball. You're the one, the prince said with a smile. Want to live happily ever after? You know. I think that sounds great, Cindy said. And that's what they did. Happily ever after. The end. That is such an interesting take on a modern day Cinderella, but it really does ring true. So, what I have is a sound experiment for us to try. Super simple, super exciting, and super fun to try. What you'll need is a ruler. I found that plastic or a wooden ruler work best, but you could probably use whatever. You need a big tablespoon and a small teaspoon and some string. So it starts out pretty easy, but it reveals something really cool. So what you'll want to do is you want to take about, I'd say maybe 3 to 4 feet of string. You'll want to find the middle of it, and then you want to tie it to the spoon. I started with the teaspoon, and then when you're finished with the teaspoon, you just take the string off or cut a new piece of string, and you'll do it to the bigger spoon. So once that spoon is in the middle, you will take the string, and you will wrap it a couple times around your index fingers, and you want the string to be on the tips. Do you see how it's like on the tip there? And then you want to put the string to your ears, and you don't want to put it inside your ear, but you want to put it like you're plugging your ear. So then you will stand up, and as you can see, the spoon will hang about waist level. You can adjust the string just by tying it a couple more times or reaching down lower. And once it's about at waist level, you will have someone else take the ruler and you'll tap it. Once you tap the spoon, the magic happens. You'll have to tell me what you hear. If you really do like this activity, there are ways to expand it. For now, let's get into the science. When the ruler hits the spoon, it creates vibrations, which make sound waves. These sound waves travel up through the yarn or string that you used and into the ear, instead of just spreading out in the air around the sound, or the sound around you, like into the air. So it has somewhere to go, which is called a conductor. So as the yarn is acting like your conductor, it's a place for the sound to go into, and it travels up of the string and into your ear. Depending on the size of the spoon and the length of the yarn, the sound will appear higher or lower. So some sound like chimes or maybe a church bell, and some things sound kind of more like a gong, very low and a lot more vibrations, so to speak. You'll see whenever you guys do the experiment. And because the yarn allows the sound waves to continue to travel, the sound of the spoon will resonate, meaning they will continue for a while after you've hit the spoon. Another thing that I found was that the only person who could hear the vibrations were the ones holding the string. Everyone else in the room is just going to hear that small little ting from the ruler hitting the spoon. So it's actually pretty cool. I hope you guys have a good time doing it. Most of these things should be able to be found around home. If you guys want to post a video of you trying it or a picture to our Facebook page, I would so appreciate that. I would love to see how you guys are doing. I said that you could expand this experiment if you had a lot of fun with it. And basically, you can change it through a couple different ways. One, you could change the string that you're using. A thicker, denser string is going to make the sound travel better. So the sound is going to change. It's going to be more distinct. You can also change what utensils you're using. So you could really use any metal materials, such as like a fork or even a butter knife or something like that, depending on what you have at home. This is a good time for you to try that. You could also try other materials like plastic or glass, even if you are allowed. Make sure you guys ask your parents if you can use those things and see if the sound resonates differently. And you can try different lengths of the string. So try making it shorter and try making it longer to see what happens also. And don't forget maybe how hard you impact the spoon. So if you tap it more gently or tap it more vigorously or like harder, then the sound is probably going to change as well. Make sure to test out all of those theories, and even if you come up with some of your own, make sure to share them with us so we can try them too. All right, well, next week I will have Rapunzel with me and we will be making simple machines. Hope you guys had fun today and can't wait to see you next time. Bye.